we're ready to go. I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Board of Water Wastewater Commissioners with the Harwich Water Department, 196 Chatham Road, Harwich, Mass. Thursday, June 30th, 2022 at 11:01. Any public comments, announcements? All right, I need a motion for the consent agenda for minutes for May 5th, 2022, May 11th, 2022, May 26th, 2022, and June 16th, 2022.
Mr. Chairman, we only have minutes for May the 5th.
Okay.
And I have a question under abatements. Item C says 10 Rainbow Way. And then in the print is the Vice Chair Thompson moved to deny the abatement request for 23 Kendrick Way. Should that be Rainbow Way?
So we can correct that.
Okay, so just amend that. I'll move we adopt the minutes as corrected.
For May 5th.
May the 5th.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. All right, up next we have abatements, 14 Pine Street. So, Rosie, can you shed a little light on 14 Pine Street? Or Dan?
Either or, I think the gentleman's here also
Okay.
to speak. So my understanding of the case is that there was and the account is a seasonal account. They paid to, have us drain the line, also had a plumber come in to drain the property. It appears that the plumber removed the meter. If I'm not mistaken, the head was removed off of the meter. We've gone back and forth. Beyond that, we don't have a reason why the plumber took the meter head off.
So would the fine be on the homeowner or to the plumber?
The cost here is actually for the replaced meter, not for the tampering
For
fine.
the 408?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why was the meter replaced?
Because the head was just taken off,
So where is it?
the meter presently.
Oh, the head was taken off?
Yeah.
So you couldn't read the meter if you wanted to because they had,
Right,
two separate pieces.
right, oh, okay, I get it.
Right.
Anything else?
Was it taken off by the plumber, the head, or was it, sometimes those will fall. I mean, I've seen them come apart.
That's what we believe. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't know ultimately.
Yeah. I've seen them just come, just fall off the hedge sometimes without, I have had a few myself, but,
So the abatement request is for the material for the meter for $408.
Correct.
Noreen?
Reading the materials, it seems that we have to acknowledge that the customer has used the same plumber for many, many years and not had an issue before.
This seems odd.
I want to tell you, you can't believe how many years we've spent trying to undo these kinds of things.
Yep.
You don't pull your electric meter off because you're going away for the winter. You don't take the gas meter apart because you're going away. And you don't take the water meter. And the rules are so stated. You don't take the meter off. You call us.
So do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, my name is Rick Rizzalia, I own the property, and just by way of background, I'm a seasonal town of Harwich employee at Cranberry Valley, so if any of you are interested in getting out, just let me know. I'm going to throw some names at you that you may be familiar with. Jim Gillespie, he used to take care of the property for a bazillion years. He retired, and then we went to Craig Borden. And then he also retired, and now we use Daniel Casey at Casey Plumbing and Heating. And he's been taking care of the property for years. I had no idea I understood the seasonal program that I pay for with the water department and what you guys do with the street. I didn't know that you actually went into the property under the bulkhead and looked at the meter, so that it was a learning experience for me. I would dearly like to take issue with Mr. Casey on this, but the backlash is, who else do I find? Plumbers are very hard to find to seasonalize a home, so I don't want to really make any waves with Daniel, and he's a good man. He and I did have a conference call with Sandra, I believe, at length, and he services hundreds of properties on the Cape in this manner, and whether he's dropping the meter, I guess is the term, or not, on all the other properties is unbeknownst to me, but he obviously did it on my house, and he knows going forward that I'm going to flatten off the tires on his van if he ever touches the meter again.
But he's never done this before in the past years.
I believe he has. I don't know how he services the property. You know, we're gone when he services it.
Right.
And when we come back, everything's hooked up. So,
What- Hang on a second.
I don't,
Have there been any readings on that property?
Oh, yes, the reads are fine. I also had a chance to talk with Mr. Casey, and he relayed to me that he was concerned that the meter was actually going to freeze, so he patched it.
yeah, that's what he told me. He wanted to protect the integrity of the meter, so he detached it, he didn't want it to freeze.
John, there's something you want to say?
No, you're saying the head was, the readable part was disconnected, or the
That's
whole
right.
meter was dropped?
No, the head, so there's a pin
Yeah,
that holds the
Right.
head on.
yep,
And you actually have to break the pin to get the head off of the meter body.
And he said he didn't, if I remember correctly, he said he didn't break a pin, he just unscrewed it. He sent me this picture, if you'd like to look at it.
I think we have that picture.
I think you have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Oh, that's actually the whole new meter that we.
No,
Oh,
that's.
no, I'm sorry, so
no.
I apologize, that is the original one.
Yeah, that's the original one.
So,
So what happened was, the technician went back and he put the head back on. But because it was broken, we said, no, we've got to put a whole new, because he was actually kind of on the new side. So we explained like how we treat meters, if we treat them as damaged once they're either put in backwards or detached or something like that. So we put in a whole new meter, e-coder in that house, so that one's no longer at the property.
okay.
So can I ask
Sure.
a plumber's question? So, does everybody know about these kind of things, or?
yeah, you're only supposed to connect the house side of the meter. The street side's up to the water department. But I'm saying about the head, I've had the heads come loose with that pin when.
Doesn't hold it?
No, it wasn't holding before on some meters, not in this town, the same Neptune meters. And, they came loose. But, like, this is a seasonal, so it's painted blue, right? So that you don't put the seal on. No, they don't seal them if they're
No.
seasonal, yeah. So, I've taken them out to blow when if I knew it was gonna freeze. But, if they were hard to get to.
Well, for me, the rules of this department are,
Yeah.
when you touch the meter, it can only be water department people.
Okay.
We've been through unbelievable events.
Yeah.
With plumbers, with homeowners,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
whole bit. And, some ugly situations. And, we have these rules, and we expect people to abide by them. Like I say, you don't do that to your electric meter, you don't do it to your gas meter, you call. And for me, I just, you can't let it get away from you.
I agree. I have to make a motion. And I am sorry for the fee, but I do believe we need to make a motion to reject.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? I have a question. So the homeowner is being charged $1,000 for the tampering fee.
No, when Wellesley and I had spoke, when this initially came up, I had said not to do the tampering fee for a couple reasons. One, I didn't believe it was malintent on the property owner's part. They are a seasonal customer, they do pay us for that seasonal service. They did do as we request and pay a plumber to drain the house, so as far as I was concerned, they had, the property owner had done everything in good faith to, you know, in my opinion, not warrant a tampering
Okay.
fine.
So the charge right now is the 40806 for the meter itself.
The meter.
That's
Okay.
it.
Right.
So my next question is, are we sending the plumber a bill for $1,000 for the tampering charge?
We haven't done that in the past. I don't know if we, I guess I don't know if we can. I'd have to look into that.
We've only ever tied it to the properties. We've never,
So the bottom line is the property owner's
like,
responsibility.
contractors or anything.
But maybe we should send a letter at least to the plumber.
I sent Mr. Casey a copy of the letter that I got from you guys.
Okay.
And it says meter tampering currently carries a $1,000 fine, but this letter will serve as a first notice.
Yeah, well, that's,
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Again, I'm sorry for that. but- John?
I think it's wrong, but
Joe?
Yeah.
No?
nope.
Okay. So 4 ayes, 1 no.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, but that's just,
yeah, that's fine.
Oh,
That's it?
sorry,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
All right. 86 Old Chatham Road. Payment plan request? Is that been set up? Okay. So, what you got, Wellesley?
So this account is requesting a payment plan, but because of the status of the account, we don't offer payment plans when balances are in arrears on multiple bills. And with this particular account, we put the service in, the well had failed at the property, and we installed a new emergency service in 2020. The balance hasn't been paid in full since that time, so it has gone through the legal process, collections, and so forth. And so we relayed that to the homeowner. We provided outreach assistance, and because of the lengthy situation on the account, we referred the request to the board, just so we can keep it clean.
Okay.
According to our rules and regs.
All right, well, I mean, well, if they're that far behind and they owe that much money, obviously there's something going on. And at some point we have to try and recoup those funds. So,
Because the homeowner was on well, there was a bit of confusion and disagreement about having to pay water bills, because they have not been accustomed to paying water bills from municipal sources.
I'm curious in this situation, what would be the down payment you would offer them? Would you make them pay like half? You know, I know sometimes it's less
Right.
generous than that.
We typically, especially on services, we give 6 months, 8 months. On regular bills, it's usually 3 or 4 months. Because we try to keep it within the billing cycle so it doesn't snowball into next bills to keep it manageable. But it's case by case to, see what their needs are. And if they are in a sticky spot, we push it out
Right.
to a longer period.
What's their normal? I know it's not, now I know it differs all the time, but Are they a heavy user or a,
No, not at all. And we did data log down there
I see.
because
yeah,
they felt that the usage was really high, but because we don't have a lot of history,
right,
we
right,
don't really
right,
have
right,
a good, although the usage has been consistent.
I mean,
It has been consistent.
yeah,
And
okay,
it's not heavy usage at all.
yeah. I mean,
But we did data log because there was concern there.
Right.
That our readings were not accurate. So we did discover that at some point, there was an intermittent leak, but it abruptly
Okay.
stopped in May.
yeah,
So it could have been a hose left on outside or dripping at the sill-cock or something like that. So it stopped, whatever it was, and those reports were sent to her. But the leak wasn't noticeable on the usage reports because it's very consistent.
I always like to give somebody the chance of a pay plan, but where this one starts off so high and so behind, I would support a pay plan, but I'd like it to be more on the aggressive side than just divided by 6 or 8 months, I mean, that's just how I feel. If we could get a chunk up front, then give them a chance.
I agree with you, but bills are already up to $718, which they
Yeah.
can't afford to pay. So how do we recoup something?
Hmm.
Because, I mean, the alternative, they're just not gonna pay. I mean, it sounds like. So, I mean,
Are they on a fixed income? I mean, is there a financial need that you can ascertain? Not just a confusion about having bills?
Well, see, this went to shut off.
Pardon?
Because we leaned the account in the fall, we actually, this was going to be shut off. So that's why it's at this point right now. And our outreach assistant did get in touch with me a few weeks ago. And they did mention that they were working with the homeowner to sort.
Who got in touch with you?
Outreach assistant.
Oh, okay.
Someone from one of our
I
local
gotcha.
organizations.
Yeah,
And they said they were actively working with the homeowner. That was a few weeks ago, but we haven't seen or heard anything since, so.
I mean, there are stipulations where we can't shut water off.
right.
Elderly,
Correct.
children,
Special circumstances, health,
right.
things like that.
Does that fall in?
I don't believe there's anything.
And in the fall, is there a period when we stop shutting people off?
It's during the winter months.
Right.
So it's after October 15th.
So most likely, whatever little we recoup, this will go back on the list. They'll start paying again, most likely, in November or December.
So if, depending on what happens here today, and we're just about to send our next bill.
Yeah.
So if the balance remains on the account again, it will go to the lien again.
Right.
Unless, if there is arrangement put in place, it will stay the shut off because we would still potentially shut them off this week, this year, this month probably.
Particularly if they don't keep up on the payment plan, which
Correct.
they might not.
Correct.
So, when you said outreach, is that from the town? Is that from
No.
this office? Is
We
that
send a list
community?
of 18 organizations on the Cape who provide not only utility bill assistance, but housing assistance, clothing, just all kinds of different needs.
Yeah.
So we provide a list of every organization with their contact number, so that they can go down the list if they want, and call a few if they need to get assistance. If one organization doesn't have a lot, they can kind of separate it and try to, work something out.
And do
So-
they understand that this is a utility?
Yes.
Okay. Just because some
Yeah.
people only think about electricity and gas.
Yes, and we even have one here in Harwich, the Caleb Chase Fund.
I was going to ask you that
Yeah,
next.
that's a terrific fund,
Yeah.
and they've helped a lot of water bills.
St. Vincent de Paul does a lot too.
They're fantastic
Yeah.
as well, yeah, and they've actually reached out to me
Yeah.
as well for a few.
So was in the perfect scenario, the time frame to get this paid and get it up to date will be in the next 6 months or 8 months?
Under a plan?
Yeah.
That's a good
Well, could you, no, I'm just saying, I'm just saying, because we're trying to keep it in the same billing cycle. Is that what you said?
Well, because this is outside of those perimeters, it's already past that
Okay, so it's already past that.
point, so.
So even if we say $40 a month for a year, that's, that, their bill is still running though. I mean,
Correct.
do you know what their bill average is
So
for 3
the bills,
months?
yeah, per quarter, now keep in mind that the installation costs still haven't been paid in full for 2020, so that was a $2,500 bill. And of that, a portion of it was liened, obviously, but they average around 80 to 90 a quarter in the higher usage, and then right around 60 to 70 in the lower seasons.
Gary?
Noreen?
I wouldn't feel good about like $5 a month, because anything that takes them beyond the calendar year from now, I think is too far out. What did you say about the 2,500?
That was the installation charge that we, for the emergency water service.
And
The outrage.
that is paid, or
How much
is
are on
anything
that?
paid?
So that, a majority of that was paid by outreach assistant, but the balance went to lien.
The
What's the balance?
The balance was 819. Well, actually, I take that back, because a portion of that was water bills as well, so we'll lump them in. About $1,000. Yeah. Because she made a one-time payment in August of 21. That was
Or,
one payment.
how much was that?
$277 towards the
Installation?
I thought you said 1,000 remains.
That was the balance after outreach.
After outreach.
Outreach paid.
Provided.
Right,
So-
oh, and then she made a payment, okay, so.
And then the water bill since then, so.
So she needs to pay at least $100 a month in order to even, without going totally backwards and keep going.
Well, it sounds like she owes more than $718 between, so do you have
Yeah.
a total number of what's due on this?
The total as of today is $718.44.
Okay, that includes everything.
That's everything,
Oh,
even the
okay.
most recent April bill.
Even the 300 from the install?
No, because
Okay.
that went towards the lien.
Separate
So
pool, gotcha.
that's off the account now.
Oh, okay, I see.
Can they apply again to the Chase, or is that a one-time?
I don't know if they applied to that. The organization that I talked with was from someone else.
Okay.
So I'm not sure who she's actually reached out to, aside from the ones I heard from.
Okay, Noreen?
Well, I'm kind of agree with Alan that this customer, may not be able to keep up with whatever we figure out anyway, so I think an amount of around 100 a month plus their current water bill would at least show some intent, and give them a chance to keep out of the lien process. It's kind of in their hands out of that, but anything less than that, anything more than that seems unrealistic for their financial situation. Anything less than that seems unrealistic for the amount owed, so I would back that up.
Yeah, with the recommendation that they approach, I think they should approach the town fund or the Chase fund. I don't know if we can recommend that, but,
Well, we have on the list, so they.
but I
they've
mean, to
been-
point it out, to remind them, or to tell them that I purposefully said to explore that. Is there, and it's just easy for them to do that, is there like just a link?
We don't even, we just give them the actual sheet. So we will mail it to them, so it's a hard copy.
A hard copy, okay.
All right, do we have a motion for this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move that we would approve a payment plan at least 100 a month. Yeah, to catch up the arrears.
All right, is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
See how it goes,
With the first payment due immediately.
Yes.
payment doesn't, payments aren't made on time moving forward, is it moved to the shut-off?
I would say, no point.
Just so that we,
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah,
Right.
No point making
That
it-
should be in the know, whatever gets sent to her. So there's no
Yeah,
surprises.
I
Yeah,
definitely should.
I agree. Might be an incentive to search for more money faster.
so let's just clarify the motion. Motion amended would be $100 a month until the bill is settled. If the payments aren't met in a timely manner, then it goes to shut off.
If I may.
Yeah.
In the wording, the balance due as of the date of payment, because we're going to be uploading the charges.
All right.
So, just to keep it clean,
So
718.
in the amount of $718.44.
Yes.
Okay,
And if the plan goes into default, it goes into shut off.
shut off. Okay, so with the amended motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Sad to say,
Well, there's gonna be a lot more people as time goes on.
All right. Superintendent's evaluation. So, again, I have, it says draft, but that's what we're gonna use.
Are we using the one that was signed by Dan, or are we using the one in this packet?
We're gonna turn in the evaluation that we all did. Sandy's gonna put it together as an average, right? The only thing we're gonna go over is next year's goals, so we're all on the same page, and it gives Dan a clear picture of what we're looking for. You have your you turned your evaluation.
I turned
in,
mine
right?
in because I was away last
that's fine,
week,
yeah.
yeah.
So, all right, so right now, we're looking at Dan, job titles, Water Wastewater Superintendent, supervises the Board of Water Commissioners Department, Water Wastewater, will be completed by the Commissioners. Dan's classification is an M8, current step is a step 10. Evaluation date is for today. So the goals for,
Who's on page 1? You're on page 4 there.
1 of 5, I was on,
5?
1 of 5,
Okay.
page 1 of 5.
You may have already went past it.
Has everyone had a chance to do the evaluation?
I haven't
just did it.
completed it, I
All
still
right.
have goals.
Okay.
I
Noreen?
completed it, but I don't feel that I did the superintendent justice. You know, I feel that there were a lot of things I couldn't remember, so.
Right.
saying that.
So what we can, all right, so let's just go through the goals and objectives for next year, so we're all on the same page, and Dan has a clear picture of what to work on. So there's 3 attainable, 1 possible, and then 1 if time permits. I think 5 goals with water and wastewater at this point is just too much. Okay, so, I mean, realistically, can we look at 3 goals for 20? 3.
22 through 23?
Yeah, I mean, that,
They don't need to be projects necessarily, I mean, they don't need to be,
well, it says goals and objectives. so-
but, I mean, a goal can be better communication
All
with
right.
your social media, for example.
It's just a bit cheap.
Are you on social media?
Try to be on as little as possible.
I don't know, I'm just throwing, do you know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't need to be, build a new building. It can be a performance.
Noreen?
I have a topic that I was gonna broach during the commissioner's report, and I probably wouldn't be bringing this up publicly had not the news been given out on Monday night about the DEP, but it would be a goal. But years ago, when we talked about the development of the wastewater department within the water department, we always talked about the water superintendent having an assistant, that he would have two major assistants, one would be water and one would be wastewater. There was always that little idea that maybe the customer service person who helped with phase 1 and phase 2, phase Charlie, that somebody, might grow into that role if Dan decided they liked him, but I mean, that whole bid never worked out, people didn't apply or stuff like that, so that was, and it wasn't always a guarantee that person would work out anyway.
Do you mean a deputy, or do you mean an office assistant? I mean, like a...
Oh, I don't mean an office
executive
assistant, I mean,
A deputy assistant, like a...
I don't know what deputy, means, but I
A
mean...
water person with certifications.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I even mean more than that, I mean management, and I mean,
Yeah.
two different, but that's what we talked about, for 10 years, but as I say, I would be talking privately or, probably not at all at this stage about that, but, I mean, with this DEP stuff, with what's going on in the town and the world and everything else, it's not, just like it's not realistic for the DEP to tell us to do that in 20 years, it's not realistic for one human being to try to do this in 40 years.
But he's Dan.
I think it is.
Never mind 20 years,
Well, Lily, as usual, you are ahead of the game.
Okay.
During this meeting, I was gonna recommend at our next meeting, would
Okay.
solely be on, once Dan, I didn't realize it was already announced to everyone, but after Dan presented it to the board today, our next meeting would be specifically just for the future infrastructure of the department, as far as what Dan needs for
All right,
support staff, anything, to brainstorm, to see what we need and where we go, because I agree with you, it's just getting to be
all
too
right,
much.
sorry to be ahead of the game.
No, I love that. No, right now, I just want...
I didn't even want to say it in a public meeting today.
You laid the carpet.
Yeah.
But no, that's, after he presents the DP's decisions, our next meeting will specifically just be for infrastructure and how we're gonna go about staffing it.
So maybe that's not a goal that goes here, maybe that's one of our goals.
I think it should be one of ours, how we're gonna staff,
Okay,
how
all
we're
right.
gonna staff it.
All right, because it will take a year. I mean, if we want to add staff, by next May's meeting.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
No, thank you. All right, so realistically for goals and objectives for the following, I know you have a wish list, or things that keep you up at night, but realistically, can those things get done? Again, we're talking 3 attainable, let's do 1 attainable, 1 possible, and 1 if time permits. I mean, is that realistic?
Well, no, and I only say that because there's more that needs to get done.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like I put in the draft that was included in the packet, or I guess what I kind of identified as like big milestone projects that, I can't really, I have to be a part of. CWMP revisions, phase 3 design, Route 28 water main replacement, the effluent recharge site investigation, those kind of big picture, projects. I can't really pick one. I have to kind of make sure they all keep going.
Can I add one before you start cutting? Which is the easement work for the fall town meeting, because that has to be done. And now it sounds like it's going ahead, so.
Yeah.
All right, so let's put that one down, because it has to get done.
It has to.
See, the thing of it is, all the goals here that are on with it are still very, very much alive. New source exploration, I don't see that, being completed anytime soon. It's an ongoing project. Even after you've decided on the source, then you gotta get a well in, and you gotta pipe it, all the details that go with it, so that's very much ongoing. Wastewater collection system, startup, there is no end to that one. Capital plan.
Page 1.
Where is she?
Station 8 and the generator, yeah, that can be completed. But I think we're waiting parts, pieces, even a generator.
Yeah. That I gotta pick back up on. We had, I started a conversation with a company called C-Power who was gonna help us in getting the generators, some of the costs associated with purchase and install, and then also ongoing payments to the town for using those generators to offset during peak electrical demand. But they have since stopped responding, just completely ghosted us on that project. So now I'm kind of picking it back up with Scott, and we're gonna just go through the traditional bid process.
There you go.
And can I add one more to yours, Alan? I'm
Yeah, well,
sorry.
the one that's on the list, Route 28, water mains,
Oh,
I mean, that's all in the design phase, and that's gonna, subject to funding, and it's an ongoing, several-year project.
Well, I think that one's an important one, and especially if we get the infrastructure bill money. I mean, I think it should stay, I think the 4 and 5 should stay on, because I just think those are priority,
Yeah.
especially Route 28
Yeah.
design.
The one I would add would be, since the FRS is pushing to have the vote next May, that's a ton of work.
Yeah.
It shouldn't really be your work, I mean, or at least 50% of it, but it's not our work.
Well, that's what and that's what, on the draft one that I had put in, right, I tried to kind of lump, right, so phase 3 and Route 28 collection system design. There's, as far as the goals on that, me just overseeing the design, making sure we get the project evaluation form submitted this August, and then everything leading up to town meeting with public education, funding, articles, seeing those to the finish line.
What do you mean by Route 28 collection system design in this?
So we had the wastewater article at last fall for
Oh, yeah, the
That-
pipe. the
28.
lead
28
pipe,
to
okay,
Heron River
yeah.
to the
You know,
downtown.
I don't think of that as collecting anything to the future, so I don't really think of it as a
Yeah.
collection system, but
Maybe
obviously
sooner
it
than
is.
later now.
Yeah, I know, tomorrow, yeah.
When you think about these projects, too, the ramifications
Huge.
of just going through these
Yeah.
processes. But once the state pays the highway,
Yeah, you're right,
then it's big,
right,
so for in before they pay,
yeah.
sewer and,
You know what really bothers me too, among a million other things, but, so, we've all hoped that we would be in a good place to get some infrastructure money. Well, now, just as an example, if that 30 million, wild guesstimate, let's say it was gonna be 45 million, only because of, supply problems, material costs, labor costs, so then we'll get a chunk of infrastructure money, we wind up right back where we started. It's like the infrastructure money that we hoped for so many years, all that's gonna cover now is the inflation.
Right.
So all the other monies, we're back to where we were, it's gonna come out of our, so pushing us to go faster at this time is again madness, but.
Yeah.
Like they.
We did relay that this morning on the call with Pleasant Bay. DEP did kind of a similar presentation that they did with us last week with the Alliance, and we certainly made sure to echo those
Thank you.
comments.
And you said that they're actually coming into town sometime in July, we hope.
Yeah, they want to set up, and they're really eager to speak directly
Oh,
with
I'm
the Alliance.
eager to hear them.
Yeah, so, I think, they pretty much modeled this on Pleasant Bay Alliance and
Yeah.
work that the 4 towns have been
Right.
doing. So I think they really are hoping to engage the Alliance and the member towns in
Yeah.
a hearty discussion before rolling out the regulations, because
Yeah.
we're kind of the foundation of it all.
I don't mean to yell and scream at them, I just mean that it's absurd.
well, the thing of it is, it's just tremendously eye-opening. I mean, you can only afford to do so much
That's right.
at one time.
Yeah.
And
Plus, they accepted our plan in 2016. That's only 6 years ago. How do you then say, whoops, after we spent $2 million on it?
Well, think about the total that's been spent out in East Harwich today.
Yep,
I mean, we can't keep that pace up,
right.
not as a community.
No.
No.
Shut down the schools.
All right, let's just get back to the evaluation. Let's get back to the evaluation. Finish one thing before we have to move into another thing. All right, so I believe 4 and 5 should stay on.
And you're on page 1.
Page 1, the new well construction and the 28 water main design phase.
Why wouldn't you keep 2 in there also?
The only thing I would say
Yeah.
with respect to the new well construction, that
Well,
we're gonna run out of money pretty soon on that. Like on the existing contract that we have, because we've already, we already did a lot of the test borings. The last stage of the existing contract we have is preparing the prolonged pump test application for DEP. To go beyond that and get into the prolonged pump test, we're gonna need to appropriate additional funds, so it wouldn't be till
So then
next spring.
we're far enough along on that until we get the infrastructure money?
Until we can get town meeting
Okay.
to appropriate
Okay.
more money.
All right.
Can I ask you-
Not that that means the project stops, but.
Right, I
just-
understand.
So are you thinking to take some of these off of the review because it's gonna negatively impact the review because?
No.
No,
Okay.
no,
I'm trying to
no.
make it more realistic that he can get things done for 22, 23.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is, he's gonna be working on all of these
I
things.
was, that's what
The
I was,
bottom line is
that's why I
he's working
wanted
on
to
all these things,
understand.
Plus more.
That's why, I just wanted to understand that.
I mean, there's just too many, like, I know there's things that keep up at night that he's gonna be working on. But I think these are just things that we can evaluate him on that are realistic. Instead of 5 things, I think 5 things are just, like, again, going back to the generator, I mean, he was working on that, and the people never called back. So how do we gig him for that when,
He gets an A plus because
oh,
he
because he's
did the
Dan,
due
I know.
diligence.
I know.
No. I mean, he, in that respect, yeah, I mean.
We have these meetings when Gary isn't here.
What'd you say?
I said, can we have these meetings when Gary
Because he
isn't
didn't ghost
here?
us.
Yeah.
Tough crowd.
Sorry.
No,
I wanted to understand.
No, but again, I mean, again, these are things he's been working on that,
Well, so in my career, I've done a lot of evaluations, and maybe we're looking at this a little bit differently. Like, if you do look at the event where he was ghosted, he still did what he was
Absolutely.
supposed to do.
I agree.
So in that case, he still gets, an A plus whatever.
almost an A plus, maybe an A minus.
A minus, yeah, I know, you never want to give it A plus. You always want to shoot
minus.
harder. Okay. I'm gonna be quiet now. Sorry.
No, I agree with what you're saying. But I think this evaluation is kind of not really set up to
Right.
paint the correct picture, which I think it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so three workable goals for 22, 23.
So what have you got, Dean?
And these
So what's the board's pleasure?
These are major projects that are 3 workable. And when you consider all the factors that will go into this, everything from getting it through the okay process just to do it, the funding process, the
Right.
design processes, and then the actual doing. I see it as several years.
Well, maybe we have to break some of them into,
That's what he's trying to do now, is lessen them. You know,
right,
Make it a shorter list of major projects.
and
Which makes
pieces,
sense.
and doable pieces of those projects, like design, or, because if we keep it the whole project, we'll be gone, and the
Yeah.
list will still be here.
He said, well. Yeah.
Dan, three reasonable,
I think 3 that we don't have a choice, but we gotta get them done is Phase 3 and Route 28 sewer and Route 28 water main.
Yeah.
Those are gonna be, it's gonna be a lot between now and the lead up to Springtown meeting, between design, coordination, public education, for those three. And I think, I mean,
What's PEF, remind me?
project evaluation form. So those have to be submitted in August. And those are what DEP rates to get us on the intended use plan, which
Right.
gets published in
January,
January, February, and then that's what DEP plans to fund next spring, which would be when we do the contract appropriation.
So if you say that has to be done, then the easement work has to be done.
Yeah. And the easement, I
Maybe
kinda
that's
see
part
as
of
just
that.
part of, yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of all part of,
Maybe we just add a line to that one that says, including easement work for pump stations? I don't know.
Well, I don't think you have to go into the
Right,
particular
okay.
detail. I mean,
All right.
it's just all.
Oh, that's just part of the
you know,
job, I got you.
it's,
Okay,
just one of the tasks
Yeah.
of the total project.
all right.
You know, there's 25 tasks,
Yeah.
just go with one project
Right.
there.
All right, does that sound realistic?
that, and another one, I think, you know, one of, as unrealistic as DEP's, you know, proposed regulation is, I do kind of enjoy the challenge of, through the CWMP revision process, trying to lay out, you know, a path for us. I think the CWMP revisions have to,
As part of that, I mean, I hate to see wasted engineering money. How much would, just lost his name, Russ?
Yeah.
Be involved with the financial? And I would hate to see a lot of time wasted by the engineering staff on the financial portion, like CDM did 1,000 years ago. But now that we're in flux, quite honestly, I don't want Russ or GHD deciding what we can pay at this point, you know?
so they are, at this point, I guess kind of how I've been thinking about it is,
Right.
one, we kind of need to think about how we're going to approach trying to do all 5 watersheds simultaneously, right? So there's going to have to be some main artery that, you know, as a foundation, we start to build out, and then we can start to pick, you know, maybe smaller contracts to build out where the artery has been laid. I think it's partly on, so they are going to be able to put together in, you know, today's money, what the cost of the construction is going to
Right,
be.
that's fine.
And then as far as, you know, developing a timeline, I think that's also kind of within their scope. And then it kind of comes back to the town,
Right.
the new finance director, to see affordability and how we can finance, you know, this work over the next 20, 25 years.
That's fine. I just didn't want them getting really into the nitty-gritty of our end of it, because that's the, yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
All right. We good on that?
So our goals are,
What are we gonna do?
Yeah, for the 3, I was thinking the CWMP, the water main.
2?
number 1, number 2, give us numbers here.
See, I'm on the last page.
Right,
Or
okay,
page,
we're on
yeah,
board.
4 out of 5.
Number 1, CWMP,
Yeah,
right?
number 2 and number 4.
What happened to this one? Route 28 water main complete design, we're gonna let that, that becomes number 4, sort of.
Well, Dan was saying that we have accomplished, on this one right here, on this one, we've accomplished as much as we can at this point without asking for more funds.
On the water main, on number
The
5 on plate?
The design of,
Okay,
For the,
number 5.
I thought he was
Front
talking
page.
about number 4 when he said that.
yeah, number 4, it was number 4.
So what happened to number 5?
5
Yeah.
is,
Do you have a page for?
I have so many pages.
Well, I mean, in today's packet,
Yeah,
page 4?
so, on page 4 out of 5 in the packet, I
Yes.
would prioritize items number 1, 2, and 4
Okay.
as the priority
Okay.
goals.
Okay.
And then, beyond that, I think the effluent recharge and the generators, I mean, those are gonna happen just
Yeah.
because I gotta get them done. But if 3 to focus on, I would say the CWMP, the Phase 3, and the Route 28 water main.
So isn't number 4 on page 4, the same as number 4 on page 1? I'm sorry, goal 5, the capital plan, what we created?
Yes.
That's what.
4 on page 4 is the same.
Route
as
28.
5. Yes.
Replace the price, the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so if everyone can finish up their own evaluations, have that turned into Sandy. Sandy can input, fill in the 3 goals for 2022, 23. At our next meeting, when we're discussing the infrastructure of the water, wastewater department and staffing, we're going to need to staff. We can review the final evaluation with the goals of 22, 23. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to everybody?
I have just one
Yes.
question, though. I was trying to flip through notebooks and remember, and the memory's gone, and, you know, I know that Dan came up with a lot of cost-saving ideas. I mean, I know, you know, I almost want to say big deal to digging our own holes for 60 grand. I mean, compared to the big ones, you know, but you know what I mean? But as I said earlier, I just feel like we're kind of shortchanging them a little bit because I have a bad memory. And so does anybody have any? Huh?
I feel the same way.
Okay, I'm glad I said it out loud, I was in it. So does anybody have any other memories of all the huge, wonderful things that Dan did? I won't look at you, Gary, during the past year. Because we're doing this kind
Yeah,
of
the
rush.
$253,000 for line 3, what was that from?
The turn back?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sandy calculates that's what basically we saved on our operating budget. That goes towards, into retained earnings.
What page is it on?
That's page 4 of 6 of the original,
So confused.
Okay.
That's why this is a terrible
Yeah, we'll fix
evaluation, the way
it.
it's going.
So is Sandy gonna send us out new ones to work on?
She's gonna take all 5 of us.
Right.
Average them all together.
Right,
Next meeting, we will have one filled out with the goals and objectives for 22, 23, Dan's averages on his score,
yeah, okay.
and that'll be that.
All right, so it's really just if we have any other comments about cost-saving things or brilliant
Right.
ideas. And I just keep coming up blank, maybe between now and then because I know they're out there.
So you don't want these today, then?
Well, today would be
Today would be
ideal.
great.
Yeah.
Which one's that? I don't know, I'm
Whatever the one, everyone give the one that
I
they
just put
completed
yeah.
to Sandy.
the one I completed from this.
For this morning, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
All right.
Not to belabor. Maybe we can make a new form too.
Well, Gary and I were talking about that, and I volunteered to work with Gary. But I don't know if I guess he's thinking that over.
No, I think that's a great idea.
I know you
Absolutely.
did, I know
Yeah,
you
because
did.
we do, we need it. We
So,
talk
yeah.
about, it's on the list of things to do, and we were talking about it
One
forever.
thing I didn't do is,
Yeah, well, we just did that. So we-
Now,
it's
if
the
we
same thing.
were to create a new form, does that mess up any of the background that the staff goes into? Because you're evaluating a whole bunch of people, not just you, no?
I still use a version of that form.
Yeah,
That, because that came from administration, that's, you know, the
Right.
form I send up to them. I believe
Okay.
you guys could really do whatever you want.
so if we draft something
Yeah.
new for consideration by the board and you, that's okay?
Yeah, and I would like to get the one changed that we use internally too, and I know it's been kind of an outstanding
Yeah,
goal that administration has. They want to change the evaluation form too, I think, just like everyone else. They're busy,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
happy to be a pioneer.
yeah. Okay.
All right. Yep, that's that. This is the salary wage for
I don't know if I took that.
Department heads. No, you had that to Jonathan?
Yes, dear.
So this is the salary wage for department heads for 2023. So FY 2023 personal bylaw compensation plans as of July 1st, 2022, with a 2% increase. So Dan is an M8, step 10. He's an M8, step 10. So Noreen,
Yes.
you had some things you wanted to discuss about this.
Well, actually, when you brought this out, mine was more about the evaluation. You know, I didn't feel that we were giving him enough credit for everything he did during the year, but in relation to this, I mean, I would like to see Dan be a higher M classification, but I'm more concerned now about our discussion at our next meeting.
Right.
About having some kind of, you know, support, and that's gonna be a big, huge thing if we go ahead with figuring out what it is, keeping Dan happy so he's not taking care of somebody, but somebody's actually, you know, able to take some of the decision-making, and, you know, I mean, that's a huge topic, so that's really all I have to say.
So, where we are today is, last year we gave Dan a 2-step increase.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason we did that, if you remember, we were having discussions about going into a contract with Dan. So we did the 2-bump step because we didn't know how long the contract negotiation was gonna go, how it was gonna work out, and just to pay him what he was due up until we were able to move forward with that. We came to the decision that the contract just wasn't in the best interest of us or for Dan, so we left that alone. So right now, Dan's at a 138, 253.86, step 10 with a 2% increase. I think for now, right now, I think we're in a good spot. I mean, unless there's any other discussions, or, and again, I know I give you a hard time. You're worth your weight in gold, and there is no doubt about that. And I absolutely believe in paying people what they're worth, and you're worth every penny of it, and I do believe that. If we did want to go from an M8 step to an M9 step, that would have to go to the Board of Selectmen to change his classification. Is that right?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Right. So with that and the 2% increase, I think it's, what, $1,300 or something like
Yeah.
that? So
is that 2% increase, is that beyond step 10? How does that work?
That's the new, those are the wages effective July 1, 2% over last year.
Oh, it's just
Yeah.
So last year was 135. So last year was
Okay.
135.
So that is, okay, so that's contractual,
Yeah.
I see, all right.
So yeah, so 2% includes the 138, 254.
So next year would remain 138, 254.
But then you throw in longevity.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm just trying to follow the numbers, just by
Right.
itself, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Plus whatever COLA they,
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would add to Gary's comments, sorry, Dan, but I wouldn't undertake changing his classification at this time. I think that within a year or two, it's going to become painfully obvious that he should get more money as we go through the discussions about the DEP. So I'd let the DEP do the work.
I agree. Judith?
I disagree.
Okay.
Just because I'm in the water system throughout Massachusetts, and I know what people are being paid, and I know that we are very fortunate to have Dan, and I don't want to lose him over $10,000.
Right.
I think he should be an M9. I think the level of responsibility has increased enormously.
Exactly.
How long have you been here?
7 years.
Yeah.
Seemed like yesterday.
Yeah. I would like to make a motion to put this before the Board of Selectmen.
We can make the vote right now. and then we
Oh,
can-
okay.
we
I
can-
didn't know the procedure, sorry.
You can make the vote right now, we can make the vote right, you can make the motion now, we can make the vote now, it just has to, the
And then
the next step
then the
though, is
next
it goes to
step.
them just to approve his reclassification from an M8 to an M9,
So I would like to.
which I don't
Yeah.
understand that, but that's the process.
But
Because they're, yeah,
But definitely, that's what we should do, is to put it in place so that next year, we can do that.
It'd take a whole year? Like
Well,
if we voted now and the
Well,
board,
this will max out, he's not maxed out here on M8. He will be.
no, but the position itself, I think, should be at a,
He's maxed out.
yeah.
He's maxed out.
He's maxed out at an M8, he's at step 10, that's as far as he's gonna go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's a new step this year, isn't it? Isn't that?
I was step 10 last year.
Oh, you were? Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Right, last year we skipped, we
Yeah,
bumped him
okay.
right up to the M10 because of the whole discussion about contracts, we didn't know
Yeah.
how long it was gonna
Okay,
take,
okay.
and just to get him up to a pay scale that, you know,
All right, so I agree with Judith, and then let's move to,
whatever, it's Judith Wilson.
yeah.
It's
I would
Judith
like
Wilson.
to make a motion to, change the M8 to M9. Please correct the verbiage.
Yep.
Yeah, for, our
So
What are we
M9, what step?
Well, we'd have to be around, start at least to step 7,
Well, I mean,
where he is now.
Okay, step 8 to be on the safe side.
Can we decide that, or does
Yeah.
that go through a?
that's the board's
Yeah,
decision.
step 8, I would say move from M8 to grade M9, step 8. Step 8?
Mhm.
Yes,
Well, step 8 is 143.
but it would take a year to kick in, right? Or,
Well, once it's seconded, I have a question on Judith's point.
My understanding is if we go to an M9, step 8, it has to go to the board to be approved and voted on, and then it goes into effect whenever they vote on it, and you get back pay from July 1st.
That's typically how it,
So you get back pay from July 1st. So however long it takes for them to do it, the back pay starts July 1st. But the 2%, but that, and this 143 is with the 2% increase?
Yeah.
But without the longevity?
but I wouldn't get longevity if I went up to M9, because then longevity only
That's what I'm
kicks
saying,
in
after a year.
after a year at the top step.
So-
But the 143 would be greater than present step 10 with longevity, so
so you're
that's,
still going
I'm
up.
whole there. That's
Okay,
correct,
all right.
but I'm fine either way, I'm not active.
So my question is, so do we have the money for it in salaries, first
Yeah.
of all?
Well, that, I gotta,
That's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like there might be room, actually, you could almost put it under professional services and wastewater, but we have a brand-new financial, but how do we vote something if we don't know we have the money?
So how about, we have the discussion today about thoughts that we want to do. At the next meeting, we have the evaluation done. We asked where the budget is and how much funds available we have
Right,
for a pay increase. And then take the vote then. Because again,
Right.
it's going to be, whatever we decide to do, increase or not, stay the same, whatever, it goes to the Board of Selectmen. And then whenever that gets approved, it goes back later July 1st. So technically, he's not losing anything, it's just going to slow down a little bit.
so, we have an unseconded motion on the table.
We do.
But, so, how, another way to look at this would be, I mean, it's really only internal, even though people would make a big deal about it, but would be to alter your formula for the wastewater budget and put considerably more of your salary in there, and then we'd have ample money on the water side,
I
you
mean,
know,
and as I'm thinking about it, we're talking
just a
probably about
few grand.
4,000,
Yeah, that's not a big
4,000
deal.
bucks.
Yeah.
You know, I would
$5,000,
say
yeah.
Yeah,
we probably have sufficient money
Right.
within the
actually.
salary and wages
You know,
to cover
now
it.
that I think about it, we wouldn't even have to worry about it, because those adjustments could be made at year end.
Right.
You know, I mean, by then it might not even be needed.
Right.
And if it was within the whole salary line, yeah, forget what I said about it needing money. Sorry about that.
No, so it'd be great if we could just vote on it today, given that the
Right,
Board of
so we haven't-
Selectmen only meet every 2 weeks, and if we're having a special meeting in the fall, we just get this off of their,
I want to discuss something, but I'm feeling weird with an unseconded motion on this.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion. So we have a second, we have a motion, is there a second?
Who made the motion?
I
Judith
made
made
the
the motion
motion.
to go from an M8 step 10 to an M9 step
All right,
8.
you have a second.
There's a motion, second, discussion.
Thank you.
Maureen. It's like wrangling kittens, it really is.
I got a bunch, you know, so I'm good at it, that's. So, I mean, this is a hugely important thing to do, and I'd also like to see, I mean, next time you're talking about an infrastructure look at, stuff like that, I mean, maybe, not necessarily by next meeting, but I don't know those stats. I'd love to see some of those stats about what other water people get. You know, I don't know how we get those quickly, but I trust your opinion in the industry completely, you know, so that's good enough for me for now, but at some point, I'd like to see those, but I guess I'll just say this till we talk next time, is that to me, it's almost more important to get more assistance in the department than it is to get Dan a couple of grand right now. And so, to me, it's a question of where we want the discussion to go. And it's not that I want to lose Dan over what will be just...
I was talking about losing me. I'm
We're
not.
not
Anyway, so I have to clarify that point. I'm not looking.
It's a well-beaten path out of town, you know, so...
A year or two from now, I mean, the wastewater side of things is gonna look very different.
Right,
Once you get all these people hooked up, all these homes,
that's right.
and all these things
You'll have
running,
nothing to do. Making all this money, you have nothing to do.
it's all of a sudden becomes, you know,
Obvious,
obviously a lot of issues,
right,
you know, problems here and there, for sure.
yeah.
can't you flush anything down the toilet?
Some people do.
So, you know, it sure looked different.
Right, but again, we are in the beginning stages. We know it's gonna be a much bigger picture, and we are going to need more staff.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and to fund that. So those are things we really need to, like, just,
Well, maybe moving them up now is just kind of admitting the obvious. I mean, I was thinking of going the staff route first, but that can drag on, God knows how long that could drag on.
And couldn't we get one staff person first that can be part
Yeah, but
this
it
and
could
part
still,
that?
that was always the
Second
plan.
one, yeah.
That was always the plan, but it could still drag on forever. I
Yeah.
mean, remember those other jobs that we tried to, oh my God.
well, that's something I want to
Yeah.
have for our next meeting,
Right.
and just, focus on that. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, put it to a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Well, because, no, because I think the better strategic technique would be to present it to the Board of Selectmen and everything as, you know, as staff first and part of it. That's just
Okay.
my
I
opinion.
tell you, all right, I just got confused. Okay.
No, I mean, that's just my opinion, it's just timing. My answer is timing, but I'm happy he got it, and you guys have a different idea than me.
All right,
I've been trying to get things by that board for so many years, and I'm always wrong, so this is good that you guys went the other way, so.
all right, Dan, new business, superintendent's report, geez. 774 Route 28, the Water Department Regulation 7.3. Is this just
Which one is this one? Is it the old restaurant or the one next to the bridge? 774 Route 28. This one disconnected water supply.
well, is it?
I think it's the one next to your old home. That piece of land. I think it's that.
The one next to the bridge now?
I think so.
That
Yeah.
used to belong to Thompson Brothers, grandma.
Many moons ago.
Yeah, that's the one.
So, a little background on why we're seeing. Every so often, we go through, I work with Steve on this, accounts that are so long dormant, because what we do is we want to get them out of the system, we reassign the numbers, the accounts are closed, it's done. So currently there are 44 accounts on an ongoing spreadsheet of accounts that just have not been either ever used, ever connected, long dormant, vacated, vacant, weeds growing everywhere. And every once in a while, every few years, we go back to the list and say, okay. And it's staff dependent, project dependent, especially now. So when looking at the list, we only focus on a handful of the oldest ones on the list, and those went back to 13 years ago. So this particular account was one of the oldest on there. To get the letter saying, hey, what would you like to do? Keep it connected, or we're just going to go and cap it to get out of the system once and for all. If they ever have a future need, they can just reapply when the time comes. So this one was an 09 account, last activity. They got the letter, and we sent it, I think, back in March. I think with like an April deadline, we gave her a couple months notice to say, hey, what do you want? We have heard from others, yes, please get me out of the system, stop billing me, because we do continue to bill accounts as long as they're connected to the distribution system. Some people didn't even realize, they just thought, oh, okay, well, why am I still paying for this? Others say, no, keep me connected because I'm thinking about doing something with the service, you know, in the near future. So with this particular account, this is actually the first time we've ever received a letter back to request an extension. And they're planning on doing something with the property, and we're just following the course of what's under our regulation for an extension through the board.
All right. For how long?
Well, I put a little copy of the reg on your little.
Oh, so it's an extension for 24 months?
So this, no, this is for 1 year, not to exceed.
1 year, I got you, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Excuse me, do they pay a quarterly amount for,
Yes,
and like $50?
45.
Okay, oh, the base, that's it.
All right. So do we have a motion? Sorry, Leslie?
Sorry, one more note to that. If the account has never had a meter, but they got connected, there are some oddball accounts out there where they have a lift. They've never been in the billing system, but they still have an account, so it's like a hanging check. So, yeah, so it's still active, but it's never used. So, not billed.
All
But
right.
they're not capped, so they're still active.
All right, so we need a motion for 774 Route 28.
So are we making a motion to keep it active?
Yeah, for...
Keep it connected?
Yeah, to not exceed 1 year, at their request.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
Second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I've used opposed before, I guess I used opposed.
I'd like to make a motion to reconsider our vote for the adjustment to Dan's pay.
Is there a second? I'll second.
We need a roll call vote to reconsider.
Take a roll call vote. All in favor, Alan?
What?
We're taking a roll call vote to re-evaluate, to rediscuss Dan's pay increase.
I got it here, and okay, we'll talk about it.
All right, so that's an aye, yes.
Yeah.
Judith?
Aye.
It's an aye for me. John? And Noreen?
So I'll make a motion, to revote the motion that we just did. And bottom line, I'm going to change my vote.
Okay.
I'll tell you why, though. My vote was only based on strategy, and I wouldn't want anybody, as I had 2 seconds to think about it, as it goes forward to the board, I wouldn't want them to think it was a judgment of his abilities. When you see a 4-1, they might say, well, you didn't even get the unanimous.
So now you're feeling sorry for yourself.
And I'll be honest with you,
Yeah,
I understand what you were doing.
yeah.
Afterwards, I got confused because you were lobbying so hard prior.
Yeah.
That's why I got confused. I thought you were kidding, they gave me a hard time. I did not mean to make you feel guilty.
No, you
and
didn't.
reevaluating it. I understand what you're saying.
She's doing wrong all around.
I thought you were joking, that's why I got
When I
confused.
thought of the ramifications of it, I said this could be totally misread and cause the whole discussion to go to a different way. So I'm making the motion again.
So we have a new motion to approve Dan going from an M8 step 10 to an M9 step 8, I believe it is. Okay. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes
Okay.
unanimously.
Well, I think they
I was
get,
voting no that time, just keep it real.
yeah, but I think
Just keep it real.
I think they get a copy of the minutes or whatever, or something, they get told, so,
right.
okay.
All right,
Thank
Dan, I believe everyone here already knows about the DEP watershed permit, but
Can I-
those,
Yeah.
Judith?
I just, yeah. Title V doesn't hold back nitrogen, so what's the deal?
Yeah, so that's,
This is like a
and that's exactly it, right? So I've kind of, as I've been talking through it, trying to really understand how and why, and I think I figured it out. So, Title V regulations, the big change there is expanding the definition of an NSA. They're going to expand it to be beyond, right now, it's currently just watershed, wellhead protection for municipal water supply. They're going to expand that definition to also include any embayment or estuary with an established TMDL.
Oh,
So now we have a new nitrogen-sensitive area designation, and the Title V regulations are going to be revised to say that if you are within an NSA, nitrogen-sensitive area, you have to convert all of the on-site septic systems to innovative alternative septic systems within 5 years of the regulation taking place.
in 5 years?
All, for Harwich, we're talking 10,000. Or,
That's insane.
yeah, it's not feasible.
This is like, they're leaving office in 6 months, Beth Card, and you're pulling this, really?
And then the mechanism for a town to not have to remove and replace the 10,000 septic systems is for the municipality to apply for a watershed permit for each of the watersheds designated as nitrogen sensitive. And with that, in 20 years, we will have to remove 75% of the nitrogen required to meet our TMDL. So, there,
I'll tell you.
It's madness. Sheer madness.
and I feel like it's partly by design on DEP's behalf that, they've kind of laid out one impossible option and one slightly less impossible option, which is the watershed permit. So I think trying to read between the lines, it appears that that's what they're trying to push everyone towards.
I would push back on that, and I'd say they laid out one impossible option versus one financially impossible option.
Right.
And I'll add on to that this has been in motion since like 2014. What year are we in? Yeah. So,
And
shame on them.
And also, they accepted our plan in just 2016. All that work, they accepted the plan, big deal, revisions,
Maybe
votes, oh
they
my
just
God.
read it.
Yeah, that's what
Well, that's when I
possible.
first got this. I had a little comfort, because I was like, they've accepted our 40-year
That's right.
CWMP, we're not gonna be held to 20
Yeah.
years. And I asked that, specific question, they were like, no, it's 20 years.
But how can you accept
Yeah,
a plan? Let me not say,
I mean, to hear this,
yeah.
they're gonna dream world.
Right,
They're taking what we've been through already, and the
yeah,
amount of money we've spent.
right,
They need to come up with a lot of dough.
yeah. I wrote
They're looking
to,
for jobs.
a couple of people this morning and said, why don't we just stop planning? What's the point of planning if they're gonna do things like this? What is the point of planning? There's no point
No.
in planning. We'll just wait and they can send us a memo and we'll say, okay, fine.
What I'm interested to see is
They're not gonna come and check it, we know that, right?
what 75% looks like. That's what I don't have an answer to today.
See, I think we should fight them, but that's not our job.
Dan, I don't think you're gonna see what 75% looks like.
Just meaning the contiguous, because if we look, and I'm just thinking of it from East Harwich, right?
Right.
So we all know that Upper Muddy Creek was, a lot more was sewered than needed to meet the TMDL.
Yeah.
We're looking at Round Cove and Pleasant Bay watersheds right now, and we're looking at accomplishing 100% of the baseline removal with that contract.
Right.
Which ultimately we need to get to 100%, but for looking at the other 4 watersheds, the permits are for 75%. If we shrunk down to 75% of our actual need, I just am curious to see what size that
Yeah.
would look like in East Harwich, what it'll look like in Saquatucket, what it'll look like in Herring River. Because we don't have that footprint yet.
I can understand what your excitement, well, wrong word, but to look at it from an engineering and how it would fit together point of view, but I mean, from a financial point of view, I just want to say shut down the schools,
Unless this is a mechanism to allow the state to go after a different pot of money to pay for sewering. I mean,
Even then,
because,
I just think, Noreen mentioned earlier, my concern there is that every bit of principal forgiveness that the state and federal government were just throwing at us just got eaten up by inflation.
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
If we can even
So
get
did
the
your new
materials.
salary.
Even the infrastructure
gas,
is going up by inflation,
A lot of things came up.
Yep.
Number one, you can't produce the amount of cement products needed to hook up all these areas.
Yeah.
I just can't, it's just
Yeah.
crazy.
You know what I hate about it too, I was saying earlier, is that, it's been such a bumpy road, in Wastewater for so many years. But not everybody happy, but we're just getting to a point where we're gonna start to look at the WMP again and, maybe at least put this year's version on it rather than all the stuff from just, forget about that. If these regulations are saying sewer. They're saying, forget about your investigation into IAs, you don't have time,
Or they're gonna put a ton of money into innovative,
But even then, you don't have, you're talking having to build 5 a day for 5 years straight. We can't even get the
a
design.
retrofit.
Or even retrofit.
Well, I hope you're paying for mine, because I can't, it's like saying I should get an electric car, I mean, I just can't.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, anyway,
Are they coming in this month? You'll tell us when they're coming in?
I will, I'll make sure that there's a hopefully well-publicized meeting.
Right, so
Yeah.
when they come in to speak with the selectmen, I want to be invited, the board,
Me
to
too.
that.
Me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be
Yeah, we should
great.
be there.
I didn't see them coming. Like this morning, all of a sudden,
Yeah. They want to have discussions with, because we're raising, in these meetings, kind of the same arguments that we're all discussing here. And they're
Right.
saying, okay, we need to have these discussions sooner than later before we roll this out in the fall.
Right.
It's like, the comment period this fall, I think, hoping to roll it out in '23. And it's like that, we got a lot of things to work out here before.
And then I also heard in the last couple of weeks that they also rolled out a new, or maybe in the future, a year from now, new regulations, new levels for
PFAS?
PFAS.
I'm-
And that they're like,
Interested to see where that
Minute.
goes, because I saw an email that came out, at least on the wastewater side, where they were talking parts per quadrillion,
yeah.
which
it's- we
Mass
probably-
Waterworks sent out a piece that said, they don't even have the laboratory equipment to accurately measure in that, quantity, so they're going in some crazy directions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't, they can't dump anything anymore. You can't, the sludge, you can't, nobody knows what to do with it.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Everything has to be spit and
I
polished.
mean, Maine, they polluted all the fields. There's fields up
Oh,
in Maine
I know.
they've used the solids to fertilize their fields, and they can't be, you can't grow vegetables in them.
Yeah, yeah.
And the cows, so many of the cows,
Yeah.
like the milk is, yeah, it's bad.
Did you have anything else for the superintendent's report, or anything else?
No, I think we belabored this.
All right, commissioners report. Alan?
No, I'm good.
Good.
Noreen?
No?
John?
Good.
All right, so we have next meeting.
Oh, there is one thing I'd like to say.
All right?
The Blue Institute, our Words on Water poetry, prose, and playwriting competition is open again, and submissions are due September 19th. I'll get a flyer for the door. Yeah, for all ages.
I did forget, as I was pulling up the calendar, as we start to think about next meeting, we are gonna have our first, kind of all-staff safety meeting. I did, finally got CRM, contractors risk management to come in. We're gonna start to host these monthly. First topic being trench safety, but that is on Wednesday, July 13th.
What time?
14th would be 2 weeks from now,
What time?
2 o'clock.
Do you want us to attend those? Or,
If, you know, we had talked about it here,
yeah.
probably a few months ago, but so I just, now that things are in motion,
If more than 3 of us are gonna show up, we need to,
What was the date again?
July 13th.
13th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm back in New Hampshire, so I
I'll
can't go.
be here.
2 PM on the 13th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass.
All right, so our
Okay,
next
so you're
scheduled
good.
meeting, that it would be 2 weeks, that'll be the July 14th.
Can I call in? I'll be up at my mother's.
Yeah.
Does that work for everybody else?
The
July 14th? All right. 11:30 still?
Oh, the Tuesday?
11?
11?
Oh, I'm looking at June.
No, July
July
14th.
14th,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's gonna be all that,
I'm sorry, what did I say? It's 11 o'clock, right?
At 11 or
o'clock.
1?
11 o'clock, yeah.
that's gonna be all that staffing, finish
Yes, finish
eval,
eval,
everything.
yes.
All staff, all things staff, top to bottom.
Right?
We're at the bottom.
There we go. All right. Is that good for everybody?
That's good.
All right, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I did that too.